Hello, Rick Miracle here with another video, number 30 of 50. It's May 23rd, 2014, and I am in the mountains of North Carolina. Well, we did a couple videos on these New Age books, 1934 and 1946. And now we're going to do 1949. And what I did is, I did two of these videos on this New Age book. And then I went on and did two videos, part one and part two, on who really owns your gold. And then I did a third one on next on remote viewing. And now I'm going back to one of these, and I slid those two topics in between the New Age topics on purpose. If these people control our world, and they control the banks, and they're into high-tech science like remote viewing, HARP, H-A-R-P, magnetic radio wave transmissions, sky spraying, chemtrails, vaccines that are forced on people all over the world, deforming, killing people, additives in foods that are, for no better word, they're toxins, they're poisons. People are getting ill. Fluoride in the water. By the way, with the remote viewing thing, if they were to have, the last video I did, if they were to have those people drink water with high concentrations of fluoride, it would have calcified the pineal gland in the front, between the two lobes of the brain, and they wouldn't be able to use their psychic abilities. So it's just a lot to know, and people, that's why I do these videos. So anyways, back to 1949. So we have to remember that World War II was over in 45, 46. So let's see what they were doing, what they were up to. The Freemasons, the New Age, published by the Freemasons, as it says below here. And there's one of the lodges. And this is an interesting thing. I'll start with the back of this right now because it seems important. The Supreme Council favors the American public school, non-partisan, non-sectarian, efficient, democratic for all of the children of all the people. Well, number one, they're controlling the politics and the government, so they're controlling the schools, and so I would say it is partisan, it is sectarian. They're in charge, and they're throughout these things here, I've read some in paragraphs where they're at odds with the Roman Christian Church. And so, and secondly, the inoculation of patriotism, respect for law and order, the undying loyalty of the Constitution of the United States of America, the undying loyalty of the Constitution of the United States of America. So that is their focus. Well, then I have to ask this. In the beginning of this thing here, this book, they have a tree. Of all the lodges and the growth of their Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. So I just read here, it says, undying loyalty to the Constitution of the United States. These people control the country. This is where President Bush, Obama, Kerry, Senator, all these people. Even Hillary has spoken before the Heritage Foundation, which are part of these groups of the Foreign Relations Committees, Ford Foundation, Carnegie Foundation, Club of Rome, Bilderberg groups. There's even a book called Beware of the Rainbow, and it's this thick, and it just lists all of the branches of these people and all their organizations into the New Age, as this book says. So when people tell you, or you tell people, that there is no conspiracy going on, in 1949 they published this tree. And you can hit pause and look at it, print it out, print screen. And again, I'll just read it one more time. Northern Supreme Council, 1813, England, Wales, Chile, Canada, that's the right branch here, Jamaica, 1815, Cuba, 1859, Dominican Republic, 1861, Ireland, 1824, Mexico, 1860, Portugal, Paraguay, Brazil, Uruguay, Argentina, Peru, 1830, Ecuador, Belgium, Spain, Haiti, Scotland, Greece, Croats, Slavs, Switzerland, Romania, Austria, Peru, Italy, Turkey, Florence, Rome, Egyptian, Tunis, Naples. So this one here was prepared in 1931, this tree. So again, the back of the book says to inculcate the patriotism, respect for law and order, and undying loyalty to the Constitution of the United States. Yet they are branched all over the world in all governments and business and money. So here's the Grand Commander's message. And again, my point to this is, so many people just do not believe that there is a nefarious, in my opinion, there is a secret group of people who put puppets, presidents, senators, representatives, mayors, all these people in office everywhere are members of one of these people's, of the tree, the branches of the tree, clubs, gromes, fraternities. The Latin constitutions of 1762 and the revised Constitution of 1786 are the authorities under which all regular Scottish Rite Supreme Councils exist. So they have a constitution. The Latin Constitution consists of 25 degrees and was named the Rite of Perfection. The first lodge in the United States was established in Albany, New York, 1767. Remember, the United States was 1776, Declaration of Independence. So 1776, and Albany was the first one in 1767. So that's almost 9 years earlier, 1776. In our cities, later, including Charleston, South Carolina, 1783, the revived Constitution consists of 33 degrees, the 33 beginning being the governing degree. The name was changed to Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Interesting. There was something I wanted to show you, but I couldn't find it. But basically, when I was up in Maine last year, I noticed on the main highways, state highways, there were these round signs, smaller than the stop sign, but the size of a large dinner plate. But anyways, they were blue, and it said Scottish Rite Freemasonry, Ancient and Accepted. Just like it says here by this tree on the bottom. So then I was watching a movie, Battlestar Galactica, yesterday, and they were up in space, and apparently they ran into the devil, a guy disguised, but it was really the devil, and he said, "She's mine. She gave herself freely to me." And a little more into the gist of that, as human beings, spiritual beings, I know this is profound thinking, but hey, we have to think about it. But when I read this stuff in these books I've read, apparently, if there is a dark side to this New Age, and whatever their intent is, which doesn't seem to be benevolent, apparently we have to be giving ourselves freely, like those blue signs you see on the highway. And when you go into any town or city in the United States, you'll see a big sign right outside the entrance to the city on the highway. And it has all the organizations, Scottish Rite, Lions Club, and fraternities. Now, many of these, from looking at the signs, you can see by the symbolism, they're all related. So apparently, my point to this is those blue signs says, ancient and accepted. So the longer that everybody just allows them to be there and accepts them, I guess if there is some kind of hierarchy of Supreme Court or laws in God's world, if you want to put it that way, and the other dimension, your spiritual self when you leave your body, apparently the evil ones can't take you unless you give yourself willingly to them. That's my point. So anyways, let's go back to this book. In May 1801, Colonel John Mitchell, Frederick Dalcho, and other 33 degrees organized the Supreme Council of the United States of America. The maximum number to compose the Supreme Council was 9 33-thirds. And the Supreme Council of Great Britain still hold to that number. About 1816, the Supreme Council of France increased the number to 33, and nearly all Supreme Councils have adopted this as a maximum number of active members. In 1813, the jurisdiction was divided in that part of the United States north of the Mason-Dixon line and east of the Mississippi River was ceded to the Supreme Council of the Northern Masonic jurisdiction. So the Northern Masonic jurisdiction has rights over all that property. Sorry about that. A neighbor of mine walked up to my backyard. Anyways, this area covered 7 of the original 13 colonies with a population of about 5 million people. That part of the country south of the Mason-Dixon line and east of the Mississippi Supreme Court of the southern jurisdiction of the United States. This area covered 6 of the original 13 colonies with a population of about 3 million. Additional areas becoming a part of the United States came into the southern jurisdiction, hence areas becoming part of the there are 33 states in the southern jurisdiction, plus Alaska, Hawaiian Islands, the Philippines, islands of Guam, Panama Canal Zone, and Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, District of Columbia. It also has bodies in China, Japan, Korea, which are open territories. So yet again, I go back to the back of the Supreme Council favors. Undying loyalty to the Constitution of the United States. Well, these people are all over the world. So that's what it is when I talk about Freemasonry and Satanism. If they really truly are into Satanism, then they by necessity, they have to be deceptive. The compulsory use of English as the language of instruction in the grammar schools and public schools, an adequate provision in the American public schools for education of the alien populations, and the principles of American institutions and its ideals of citizenship. But yet again, these people are all over the world, according to the tree here. It's contradictory. The entire separation of church and state in opposition to every attempt to appropriate public monies, federal, state, and local, directly or indirectly. So they don't want, I suppose, the Christian church to interfere with their satanic church where they worship Lucifer, i.e. Satan. And thought I'd do a little picture thing. You go on the internet, you look up the devil, Satan, Lucifer, many names. You'll notice the snake on his tummy, the woman's breast, the horns, the 5-pointed star, like that Presidential Medal of Freedom that Obama gave Clinton and Oprah, the wings, the flaming torch on his head, the moon, one hand pointing up, one hand pointing down, and then there's the on the far right, you can't see all of it, but that's the cow god, Moloch, and he's pointing up and pointing down, and then there's the devil. And then Madonna was doing that one show, which a lot of the stars do the satanic stuff on stage, and they do the Illuminati symbolism that we've seen Obama do, the Pope do, George Bush, and so many people. See, these people wouldn't be Hollywood stars. There we go with the star again. As I was saying, Hollywood stars. And even the devil has a star on his forehead. This is a Masonic building, I think, in Chicago. And this is, I found this in one of my other videos. I showed you this. This was on a post office in Maine, Rockport. And if you look at the 13 arrows, 13 leaves, 13 stars, 13, 13, 13. And my last video, we talked about the 13 being the tarot card of death, Friday the 13th. The witches' rosary beads, they have moonstones, 13 of those, so 13 is the satanic number. George Washington here, remember, look at the star up above him, the apron. The all-seeing eye that's on the dollar bill. These are pictures you can go on the internet and Illuminati or Freemasons images, and you can see these sites. And here's another one, Global Freemasonry. So you have to look at the symbols. And again, like the devil, George Washington's pointing up and pointing down, and his bare chest like Caesar, and like the bare chest on the devil, with the clothing on below, bottom part of his body, clothing on below, and the naked chest. Okay, let's go back to the book. This is 1949. Recognizing the Great Architect. On March 24, 1948, the Honorable Albert W. Hawks, United States Senator from New Jersey, was privileged to have printed in the appendix of the Congressional Record the speech of George Stringfellow, potentate of the Salem Temple, entitled Recognizing the Great Architect. The speech was delivered at the Master Mason's Night of the Patterson Link of the Order of the Golden Chain, February 12, 1948. In offering the speech, Senator Hawks, himself a Mason, said in part, "The more than 5 years I've spent in the United States Senate convinced me that unless we as a people redeem our morals, rebuild our character, and recognize the mandate of our God differently than we have been or are doing, we will not have the fiber and the courage to do the things necessary to accomplish the preservation of individual freedom in its true sense." Individual freedom in its true sense. I've been pondering this a lot, and if to them they're satanic, and Aleister Crowley was called the wickedest man alive, and he wrote several books, you can look him up, claimed to have killed lots of children and consumed them, I guess, in satanic rituals and magic. And he said, "Do as thou wilt." So you can do whatever you want. And then it says, "and to do all things necessary to accomplish the preservation of individual freedom in its true sense." So it sounds all nice, but it's slightly misleading. I shouldn't say slightly. It could be horribly misleading. If they really worship Satanism and Lucifer, who was cast out of heaven, according to what I learned, and he wanted to do whatever he wanted, like Aleister Crowley said, "Do as thou wilt." So I guess freedom, real freedom, that they're trying to do in the United States here in 2014, and quite a while, is you can do anything. perversion, decadent sex, the wars we're having, killing people, steal their oil, gold, resources, country, enslave them. Is that real freedom? That's my question. That's my thought. That's my thing I ponder. Is that what they mean by real freedom? And then they have those blue signs all over the country on the highways, ancient, free, and accepted. Are they giving everybody the opportunity to be fooled and beguiled and embrace this satanic path? The Ten Commandments are pretty straightforward. You know, don't kill, don't adultery, no stealing, no lying, bearing false witness, and don't covet what other people have. Those are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the first one is one God and one God only. The great historian asserts that our civilization can escape suicide. That a great historian, sorry about my reading, asserts that our civilization can escape suicide only by returning to the practice of faith in God. Again, what God? How truly he reflects the basic concept of the teachings of Freemasonry and the faith in God and man belief, and in the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. That is the essence of Freemasonry. That is why Freemasonry has stood the test of time. That is why Freemasonry has been and is a humanizing world force. A humanizing world force. We have lost in a large measure that insurance of faith in divine guidance, which was such a powerful factor in the lives of those pioneers who laid the foundation of America. Sadly lacking, but not without hope of reviving, are those religious convictions that put granite into the character of our forefathers. So they say that, and then if we go back to the back of the book here, the Supreme Council favors the entire separation of church and state in opposition to every attempt to appropriate public monies for anything other than their schools. Yet here, it says here, if we don't go back to God, the nation is going to fall. It's contradictory. Release time programs are proving a divisive force. I'm just reading some more of this highlighted stuff I read. There are many persons who have followed long and studiously the whole release time programs over the years. The system of which pupils of public schools, they're into the school system and the children and church big time here, are excused from regular class for 1 hour a week so that they receive sectarian religious instructions. So it was concerning for them enough to put that in here and discuss it. The home and the church are the natural places where sectarian indoctrination of creeds, catechisms, and religious belongs, not in the public school's curriculum. Well, I hate to say it, if you join the Freemasons, they do have a constitution, and they do have catechisms and all kinds of rituals and rites that they have had by to, notwithstanding the one when you first join, you get initiated, somebody has to recommend you. You can't walk up to the door and knock on it and say, I want to join. But when somebody recommends you and you accept it, they get you there half naked, they put a blindfold on you, a noose around your neck, and take you to an altar. You put your hand on the Bible and swear on the Bible that if you divulge any of their secrets, they can cut your throat and spill your guts and throw your dead carcass on a beach to roll back and forth. And it's pretty horrible stuff. And I'm not quite sure, but I don't think that's what God has in our Christian religion and other religions, to have people swear on a Bible with a dagger, punch her in their chest just a little bit while they swear. I'd get up and leave. Arthur Garfield Hayes recently stated that since you can't bring the church into the school, the release time program is using the school as bait to get the child into the church. Can't help but ask, would the people be better off in churches than the lifestyle that Hollywood and the Illuminati is taking them and us, all of us. He then expressed the view that if it were left to the children to decide without compulsion, all the kids would play baseball instead of going to church. So he said if the parents and the schools weren't involved and let the kids do what they want, they're going to go play ball. Well, yeah, but what are parents for? What is the Bible for? What did Jesus, God send his son? Or other prophets to other religions to teach. And so everybody wants to play Pinocchio. Everybody wants to go to the carnival at the island. This is the world we're in right now. But think about it. On the back side of the island, it was a big beguilement and a trick, and they're loading all the children off into in the wooden puppet Pinocchio, onto the slave ship. That, my friends, is where I feel like we in the United States are right now. Everything is beguilement. It's easy to see. Wars everywhere, killing, water shortages in cities while they're fracking and destroying the water supplies while they're saying we're running out of water. Contradictory. They want to destroy the water supplies because they want to force famine and distress into people's lives and to take control of the people. Those who would preserve a program of religious training must and should be prepared to meet the nation's construction of the constitutional principle of the separation of church and state. Well, these people, Freemasons, and the other ones, there's a lot of Masonic lodges and groups, Rosicrucians, and Bilderbergers, and Bohemian Grove, and I mean, the list is just endless. And they practice satanic rituals, which to me is a satanic religion versus a Christian religion, or an Islamic religion, or even a Jewish religion. Protestants have, in some cases, given their backing to what is inherently a Roman Catholic plan to divide the children and youth of our public schools with the ultimate aim of weakening the public school system by setting up a rival parochial school system and doing it at public expense. If Protestants and other non-Catholic groups ever become so foolish as to let them do it. So I keep saying these issues are very important to these people. This is back in Public Schools Week in California. California has set aside Monday, April 25th, 1949 as the date of for the opening of this year's observance of Public Schools Week. Although this observance is endorsed by the most worshipful Grand Lodge, free and accepted Masons of the state of California. This is that free and accepted Masons again. Those blue signs I talk about on your highways, if you look at them. If you're driving down a highway, you'll see this little round plate-sized thing, blue. Freemasons, ancient and accepted, every few miles. So what is it? Is it an announcement? Is it, you know, like when you get divorced, you got to put an ad in the paper that I'm no longer responsible for so-and-so's financial da-da. Why? Looks bad. Why? The Most Reverend Joseph A. Burke, Auxiliary Bishop of Buffalo, New York, in an address to the Vicentians, recently urged all Catholics to become totalitarians of their faith. With the Vicentians setting good examples daily, it is only a matter of a generation or two before we can convert the entire United States, he said. It is expected that the Roman Catholic Church prelates will continue to assert that it will only be a few years or a generation until the United States will be made Roman Catholic, and with the Church's influence, with the public press, the urging of Catholic women to enter public schools as teachers, and in the inroads it is making in getting assistance for its schools in 17 states, The prediction is becoming more ominous. Don't forget that the Roman Catholic Church suppresses Masonry when and where it can. There you go. What I've been saying. There's this battle for power with the Roman Catholic Church, which I don't agree with them doing that, and this battle of power with the Freemasons, Lucifer's satanic worshiping people, which I don't agree with that. We people are being fooled, lied to, deceived, beguiled. I need a drink of water. It's hot out here. Back to the book. Freemasonries in the Virgin Islands of the USA. The Virgin Islands of the United States of America, formerly known as the Danish West Indies, were acquired by the United States by purchase from Denmark for $25 million, and the former transfer took place on March 31, 1917. Wonder where the United States got $25 million. I don't wonder, I know. Because 1913, the Bank of England, which is controlled by the Rothschilds, formed the 1913, formed the Federal Reserve in the United States and took over the United States money supply. And they could print money. All they do is have printing presses and just roll it out. So that was 1913, and then from 14 to 16 was World War I. 17 was the Russian Revolution, where the Bolshevik Jewish folks took over that country. So anyways, things were going on because in 1917, March 31, the United States bought the Virgin Islands from the Danish West Indies, or known as. The first Masonic Lodge in these islands was founded under the auspices of the Grand Lodge of England in 1765. So, under the auspices of the Grand Lodge of England, who the Bank of England, the Rothschilds owned our Federal Reserve, so they had the United States buy these islands, and they got their Grand Lodge there. I wonder if that was in the interest of the American people. Methinks not. In 1776, the year of the Declaration of Independence, by the way, a Danish lodge, Til det Hellige Kors, to the Holy Cross, was founded in Kristiansand, St. Croix. Its first worshipful master, Brother Christian Ewald, was a lieutenant in the Danish army. So my point is, like I keep on saying, and why I'm doing these books on reviews on these New Age, i.e., I suppose the New World Order, where they seem to pit the Roman Church against the Masonic expansionism all over the world that we see here on the tree. It's funny when you look at this stuff. In 1780, King Christian VII of Denmark issued a proclamation to leaders of Freemasonry in Denmark and its possessions, directing them that nowhere in Denmark and its territories should Freemasons recognize a foreign prince of royal blood as Grand Master, and this placed the above-mentioned England Lodge in an odd position. Politics. Politics in Masonic lodges. Here we got a little more here, moving on this book. The Havana Conference. It was a meeting of the Sovereign Grand Commanders, February 16th to the 21st, 1948, attended by the representatives of the Supreme Council. 1948, this is just a couple years after World War II. In the central part of the Western Hemisphere and others. So, Supreme Councils from the Western Hemisphere all met in Cuba. Interesting. all about their goings-on there. Supreme Council for Colombia. We have authentic information dating August 2nd, 1948, that Bogota, that the Supreme Council for Colombia has coronated 3 brethren as inspectors general for that Supreme Council. Alright, here's an article here about the Sphinx, the Great Pyramid. The learned Jabolski says that the word Prai, part of the word pyramid, still signifies the sun in the ancient Egyptian and Coptic language. So pyramid means sun, and if you look on your dollar bill, there is a pyramid, and above it an all-seeing eye with the sun around it. This is a religion, Satanism. That's what the name of this series is, Freemasonry. And it's right here for you to see what they're focused on. Go on the used book sites on the internet and look up the New Age magazine, and published by the Freemasons, or just New Age magazine, and get this stuff for yourself. Word in Mook, which is Coptic, denotes brightness and ray. Fire, according to the occultists, is one of the symbols of the eternal spirit of deity. It is glorious and life-giving and mounts upwards in a pyramidal shape. So there's a video on the YouTube right now I was looking at. Several of them have noticed that the Vatican has a website where you can take a tour in the basement. And one of the rooms that you click the button on and you see is the Lucifer, the light bearer. So, again, the sun, the pagan religion, they worship the sun, the light. So Lucifer was the light bearer. Anyways, moving on, you can look that up for yourself. Egypt, Ernest Palmer, in his Secret of Ancient Egypt, has much to say about the Masonic implications of the Great Pyramid, likewise the Sphinx. Remember, Moses freed the Hebrews from the Pharaoh in Egypt. And the Pharaoh and the Egyptians worshipped many gods and idols. You know, the commandment number 2, I think it is thou shalt have no idols. First one is love God and only one God. Another one is no other gods and no idols. So, quite clearly, the Masonic people are identifying that their appreciation for the Sphinx, and he expressed the opinion that the pyramid was used as a place of initiation into the mysteries of Osiris. The Osiris god who was married to Isis, who had a son Horus. Horus, which represented by the eye, if you look at Egyptian hieroglyphics. Interesting to think about. People go, oh, there's no conspiracy. There's no group out there. Heck, they named the magazine The New Age. There's no conflict. There's nothing going on where they're trying to get people to do satanic behavior. There isn't a gay marriage advertisement or press release in a newspaper every day giving you the propaganda. At least I've calculated that worldwide that this United Nations propaganda campaign for gay marriage is costing $1 billion. While they're having Middle East wars and all kinds of turmoil and other issues worldwide, their priority is the gay marriage thing. I think that's kind of odd. Unless this guy is into decadent sex. Sodom and Gomorrah. I've never been a seriously religious church attending human. I just enjoy my life. And when things started going wrong all over the world and I started looking into what's going on, and I kept discovering things like this magazine and all those other books I read, I guess it could make a believer out of me. He also makes the statement that the Great Pyramid stands in the center of the earth. a fact known to the Hierophant of the Mysteries and his assistants. Yeah, a lot of people know that if you go to the Great Sphinx and the pyramids and you geographically look at it, it's on the internet, it's in books. Apparently it's an exact center of the world, the planet Earth. Sir Wallace Bulge, Egyptologist and one of the curators of the British Museum, for many years says that the term Osiris is the proper cognomen for the pyramid. So pyramid means the sun god, I guess. But despite the fact that the land of Mizoram managed to hold fast to the many of its ancient cults and beliefs. So that's what I'm saying, these and these are representatives, the Queen, of these cults. I guess you know that kings were made kings by the authorization from the Pope, the divine anointing them kings. So it is still my opinion that the Roman Catholic Church, you know, it doesn't mean that Christians, well, many Christians don't know, like many lower level Masons, they don't know what's really going on. At the higher level ups, there seems to be a cosmic battle between good and evil, and I think it's pretty easy to define good and evil. The 10 Commandments being good, don't kill, don't steal, and the opposite of them is evil. Killing and stealing and adultery and decadent bestiality, pedophilia is evil. No matter what anybody wants to say, they're not going to convince me that those things are not evil. Promoting homosexuality and gay marriage. There's one article I read in the news that they're giving young children in schools right now, look this up, drugs, hormones, to actually diffuse their gender. In other words, a boy grows into puberty or a girl. So they diffuse it because they say these children are probably gay and they may want to change their sex later on. So we want to give them these drugs early on so their bodies will be ready for that sex change. Now I'm thinking, wait a minute, UFO, aliens, demonic, satanic stuff, cloning, all kinds of craziness in the news. Are they really getting these children ready for some kind of demonic possession? So they'll be have both sexes? Strange to me. Grand Lodge of Hungary. The president of Hungary at the present time is a social democrat by the name of Sakatis. He is no direct admirer of Freemasonry, but he does not prevent them from having their meetings. Hungary now. The Grand Master of the Grand Lodge is Dr. Giza Spuka. They are working hard to, and have been able to get back, this is the lodges, the beautiful Masonic temple that was confiscated in World War I. The government has turned it back to the Masons, and most of the equipment, or at least part of it, has not been destroyed or sold. The sun was a little bright on me, so I had to move. Supreme Council for Canada. The Supreme Council for the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry for the Dominion of Canada. There it is again. The ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. These people are all over the world and they're posting signs, ancient and accepted. Except the people are oblivious, most of us, to what this means. What we're accepting. What's being done in our name. Symbolism of the five-pointed star. See the top of his head? The star. So one of my readers asked me the symbolism, if it has any, of the five-pointed star which is the Soviet emblem, together with the hammer and the sickle. The ignorance of this reader does not surprise me. Judaism, Freemasonry, and communism present a hieroglyphic facade composed of thousands of plastic and ritual illusions, hard for one who does not take the trouble to inform himself. That's why we're doing these videos. I'm doing them. Is because hard to understand for one who does not take the trouble to inform himself. I could go into all this, but it's King Solomon, Queen of Sheba, satanic. You can look up all those symbols, the star, the 13 stars on the dollar bill. Number 13 is the evil ritual number for the witches. California, they're having a conference. Here's a little highlighted thing I read here on the bottom. The free country in which intellect and genius govern will endure. So I suppose that means them. Where they serve and other influences govern, the national life is short. All the nations that have tried to govern themselves by their smallest, that would be you and me, by the incapables and merely respectables, have come to naught. That's what they think. Constitutions and laws without genius and intellect to govern will not prevent decay. In this case, they have the dry rot and life dies out of them by degrees. Albert Pike. Freemasonry in Belgium. So I'm not going to keep on beating this book up. The meaning of Christmas is in this book. You can go get the book and do some homework on your own. The Protestant argument. William D. Dreminall, Cincinnati, United States Attorney for the Southern District of the Ohio, is reported in the Courier Journal to have said that the American Catholics stand alone in the fight to save world Christianity, that Protestants have withdrawn from the fight, and that in Europe only the Catholics have stood against the atheist forces sweeping the continent. Protestant leadership, he says, has failed to combat atheistic forces. In 4 particulars, the manifesto of the Union of Protestants for the Separation of Church and State, which threatened action to check the forces of Rome. A ruling that barred the picture of Santa Claus on United States postage stamps. Wow. A New York edict barring schoolchildren from singing familiar Christian songs, Christmas songs. A United States Supreme Court decision prohibiting religious instructions in the public. How many times have I said in my videos they are trying to eliminate Christianity from our society and replace it with Satanism? Do as thou wilt, like Aleister Crowley said, who was famous for bragging about killing so many children and eating them, drinking their blood in satanic rituals. We are eager, just another paragraph here, we are eager for Christianity, unity in the world, but it cannot come on the basis of our coming back to Rome. It can only come on the basis of all Christians going forward together to Christ. Many eminent Lutheran, Reformed, and Free Church leaders in Europe have been working together with Catholic bishops in Europe to withstand the forces of atheistic communism. Communism, Satanism, socialism, and again, not all the people in those groups are privy, which means do they know of, the real goings-on about the battle for the souls of men and women, I suppose. America's first military lodge. So they're in the military. A lot of your military leaders are Masons. So who is their allegiance to? Christianity, the God, United States Constitution, or the Masonic Lodge's Constitution? Grand Lodge of Scotland, more worlds than one. Man moves necessarily in a comparatively small circle. He is engrossed so deeply in his own puny affairs that he tends to overlook the infinite cosmos in which he forms such a small part. Sometimes he lifts his eyes to the starry skies and wonders. And another sentence here says, as Masons, we are encouraged to undertake the study of astronomy in order that we may be more inspired with the due reference of the grand architect of the universe and his infinite works. With that said, and a closing on this video, I thought I would do some current news. Scary current news. U.S. Special Forces and foreign troops practice invading Tampa. U.S. Special Forces and Commandos, this is May 22nd, 2014. Yesterday. U.S. Special Forces and Commandos from 16 foreign nations have practiced invading Tampa, Florida this week during an unprecedented international training exercise. They've been doing this in cities all over the United States lately. Austin, Texas, California, everywhere. Ohio, small towns. They're doing these exercises to take over the cities and towns of the United States. And my last video, I showed you all the FEMA camps. And let's see, the countries involved: Belgium, Canada, Colombia, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Jordan, Netherlands, Norway, Peru, Poland. And I suppose at this time, with the American so-called deficit and money we all owe and all the financial problems, this has got to be costing millions and millions of dollars, and low-flying helicopters, as you can see here. I mean, the people probably were freaking out. And the news was telling people, oh, don't worry about it, it's just an exercise, it's for nothing. They're spending millions of dollars for nothing. Who's going to buy that? And then another one, May 22nd, Congress reaffirms indefinite detention of Americans under NDDA. So, you know, here I am doing this video exposing some stuff like this New Age magazine and the many branches from the tree. They're all over the country and the world, and they're into politics and the symbolism between George Washington and the devil and the Luciferianism. I only wonder, who are they going to go arrest? People who know what's going on? Congress reaffirms indefinite detention of Americans. The U.S. House of Representatives approved an annual defense spending bill early Thursday after rejecting a proposal. Somebody proposed an amendment that would have prevented the United States government from indefinitely detaining American citizens. So they rejected that proposal. These are the people that you elect, my friends. They rejected a proposal to stop the government from being able to go get anybody, anytime, anywhere, and hold them in secret, tell nobody, no due process, no lawyer. Oh my God. An amendment, this amendment would have eliminated indefinite detention in the United States and its territories. Republican Representative Adam Smith, D. Washington, and co-author of the failed amendment, said during floor debate on Wednesday. So basically, anybody that we captured who we suspected of terrorist activity would no longer be subject to indefinite detention, as it is now currently the law. There is an enormous amount of power given to the executive to take someone and lock them up without due process. Smith added, it is an enormous amount of power to grant the executive, and I believe places liberty and freedom at risk in this country. Yeah. Okay, here's one final thing here. It says here, today's worst watershed stresses may become the new normal. According to this thing, it says here, nearly 1 in 10 U.S. watersheds is stressed. with demand for water exceeding natural supply, according to new analysis of surface water in the United States. What's more, the lowest water flow systems in recent years, times of great stress on rivers, streams, sectors, and their own waters, are likely to become typical as climates continue to warm. Well, yesterday they had a global cooling warning, and then they have climate change, and then they have climate warming. All this is to be able to create laws to control you, what you do with your land. In Waynesville, I was working a couple weeks ago, and actually one of the politicians had a sign that says, "I will fight against the new effort to put meters on your well water." They want to go to people's property. Let's say you're in the country, you have 5 acres, and you got a well instead of city water, and put a meter on your well water. Where is this going to end? It's your own land, your own water. I'd probably put a video camera so you can't go to the stream and get the water out without a bucket. Pretty soon they'll hook an apparatus up to our necks and charge us for breathing. Not trying to be cynical. Let's see here. By mid-century, we expect to see less reliable surface water supplies in several regions of the United States. Then let me ask an honest question. Why are we still fracking? Why are they dumping seriously, insanely poisonous, toxic chemicals into the ground and then setting off explosives all over the country to get gas, they say, when we're running out of water? And people can turn on their faucets in Kentucky, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, and light a match and the thing will flame up. So I'm just saying, it seems to me that we're, again, more deception. I got a little chart here. You can look this stuff up the water. And helicopters planning drills to take over cities, invade cities, while the newspapers get out there and radio stations going, "It's only an exercise, don't worry, go back to sleep." Just like the Pinocchio movie, you know, "Come to the island, party. It's a carnival, cotton candy, fun rides." And then they wind up being slaves in the end. Congress reaffirms indefinite detention. So that's my video for number 30. Watch all my videos. They're basically, I read from books and current events and show you my little photos slide thing that I do. It's me, Rick Miracle, just an amateur, making these videos at home or out here on the lawn, reading books, learning lots of stuff, and saying, "Oh my God," and thinking I ought to tell somebody. And so you don't have to spend 5 or 10 years reading all those books. I make these videos. Seems like we're living in some interesting times. Not to say that World War I or World War II were not interesting times, or the Gulf War, or Vietnam War, or the Korean War, and all the wars and overthrows in the Middle East, and the Ukraine situation, and Africa, continuing terrorism and activities in South America, drug barons. There's so much going on. It seems that the people that are running our country, that we elect, we're choosing between two of their choices they give us, that are probably belong to these fraternities or these Masonic lodges or groups. So we're choosing between evil number 1 and evil number 2. And everybody thinks they get to elect somebody, whether they're a Democrat or they're a Republican, when nothing could be further from the truth. It's all being controlled. We people need to wake up. God help us all, I pray. We're going to need it, I think. But if we all wake up, they can't do what they're trying to do. So tell your friends, look this stuff up. Don't believe what I tell you. Look it up, research it, verify it. Then we're getting somewhere. Have a great day.